I can show myself in every aspect of myself, and that
I
I
love
am
that.
still myself. I'm
Mm,
still a professional woman, right? I can still be bubbly. I
mhm.
can still be serious. I can still be spiritual. I can still be everything that I was and am all in once. And whoever doesn't accept that doesn't deserve to be in my close intimate space. I'm Cindy Beasley, and this is Producer's Cut, where we get into who they really are when the cameras stop rolling. Today's guest is stunning, and I'm not just talking about her looks. She is a pillar of authenticity, a thriving content creator who fearlessly blends her unwavering faith into her everyday life perspective, giving something for everyone to relate to. Garnering over 300,000 followers on TikTok, maintaining about 500,000 followers across platforms, hailing from Chicago, she has bravely taken on other cities like the Big Apple, aka New York City, and Kansas City by storm, but she's back home now, fruitfully building her legacy. A TEDx speaker, former on air news reporter, currently in a new lane as a TV producer at WGN for Daytime Chicago. A life coach, an author, dozens of other impressive titles and skills that I could go on and on and on about. Storytelling is a natural talent for her. But today, I'm making space at the producer's cut table for the beautiful, talented Dorissa White to share her own.
Oh, thank
Dorissa,
you.
how are you,
I
girlfriend?
I'm well. That was such an introduction. Wow, yes. I
always
appreciate
want to
that.
make you all feel good when you all come here.
Well, thank you so much, Cindy. I really appreciate it. And thank you for having me on.
I
This is
listen,
amazing.
I appreciate it. Like I've told you before, you are a light. So this is an honor for me. This is a joy for me. I'm really excited. I think a lot of the conversations that we've had so far as we've just begun building this connection. I'm like, "Oh, she gets it." Like she understands the purpose of this life
Mhm.
and the goals that I think as a collective a certain group of people share, even if we don't necessarily acknowledge it out loud that we share it,
Right.
right? So I'm super excited to just get into some things. And
Mhm.
as I've always said, the point of the show, I read off a bio that I'm glad you're happy with. And as I know you have so much more that can go on it, but the point of it isn't to really sit and reflect in all of those accolades because you're going to have so many more. I want to know you, the
Mhm.
woman behind this. So when these cameras go off, when we're not on TikTok, who is Dorissa? What drives her? What's challenged her? What's built her to be this incredible woman? That's
Mm.
what I want to get into today.
All right. Well, let's get
You
into
ready
it.
for
I'm
it?
ready for
Okay, because I'm like,
it.
listen, I know I can shout out to Nicolette, my producer, and your very best friend. So I'm very excited about that. She told me about you long before I met you. It was just and sang your praises and rightfully so. And one thing we know about Nicolette, she ain't gonna lie.
Yeah,
But it's,
listen, she gonna keep it truthful.
you
She
hear
got
me? She ain't gonna lie to you, but it's
yeah.
always dope that even when you know that and then you get the proof in the pudding.
Yeah.
And now you are a producer, right? Like I've been a producer. Now you're
Yeah.
on the other side. So talk to me a little bit about that. How's that feel?
Yeah, it feels different. I mean, I'm not gonna lie to you, it is challenging.
Okay.
Um, I've only been an on-air talent, and so stepping behind the camera, it was something that I never really expected, right?
Mm,
But it's actually rewarding because you get to see exactly what you're putting on air,
yeah.
and you're connecting with guests in a whole nother realm. I think as an on-air personality, you really just kind of connect with guests. You're using your personality, right? But like now I'm actually forming the stories that we tell.
Yeah.
And I think that adds another level of authenticity kind of to what you were speaking to, that I'm really grateful for. So
I love that.
it's a very nuanced career that I have, but I'm grateful for it because every role is important. It doesn't matter if you're production assistant, producer, on air talent, TD, any role that goes into telling an authentic story and telling somebody's own story
Hmm.
is important. So I'm grateful.
Being behind the camera now, do you find yourself like, oh, I didn't even think that this is what went into it when I was on air? Like, are you finding yourself kind of learning new pieces of the role that maybe you underestimated before?
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I never even considered producing.
Mm.
And like I said, being an on air talent, you don't even think about anyone else's role, in the newsroom.
Yeah.
And now that you are a producer, I'm learning ENPS. And, ENPS is a
Hmm.
program I'm sure you used, but it's across news stations. I'm learning ENPS on a different level that I've never learned before, right? I'm learning it on the production side instead of just putting my script as a
Yeah.
reporter in, right? I'm learning how to actually build the show. I'm learning to put slugs in and different things like that. So I'm actually like building this entire product instead of just being a product of the product, if
Mm-hmm.
that makes sense.
It does.
So I'm grateful for that.
Does it create a different level of attachment for you, or do you find the opposite? You're more in the weeds of learning, but you're not as attached to, the outcome per se. I feel like I know the answer, but
Yeah.
yeah.
I think that it would even be more of an attachment
Yeah.
to it, right? Because when you're an on-air host, if you're an on-air just personality in general, you have an attachment to it because it's your face
Mm-hmm.
that's on camera and it's your presence. But you being the producer of something like this, it makes you feel like, wow, this is mine. I own this. And that is so rewarding on another level.
Mm-hmm.
So like I said, it's unlocked feelings and emotions for me that I didn't even think that I would have had for television, and I've had this career for 10 years now.
How do you navigate those feelings? Like when you take the time, when you're leaving the studio and you're like, damn, I just put that story together. And whether you're proud or whether you're like, man, I wish that was a little bit better. Like however
Yeah.
you check in with yourself, how do you sort them out and not let them drive you either way?
Hmm. Well, I think that either way, I mean, I've done so many facets of television. I've
Mm-hmm.
done breaking news, I've done lifestyle, I've done entertainment. So it's the level of if I'm understanding what you're asking me, the level of attachment is really just about the story itself, right? So this is kind of a whole new realm for me because this is lifestyle. I was
Yeah.
a lifestyle reporter, but now I'm a lifestyle producer. So I think the level of attachment is more about like, did I do a good enough job?
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm learning this like realm on a whole new landscape than being on air. So yeah, for me right now in this season, I would say it's more about like, did I do a good enough job?
Yeah. I'm adding to what you're saying because
Yeah.
to that point, when you determine that you did or you didn't,
Uh-huh.
how do you see yourself through those moments? And
Okay.
let's go with I didn't do a good job today. I
Yeah.
think I could have done better. What does that moment look like for Dorissa really checking in with herself and
Yeah.
figuring out the plan to sort through the feeling of I'm not satisfied?
Yeah, it's giving yourself grace. It's
There
giving
we go.
yourself grace.
Yeah.
I mean, no one is perfect, and I've only been in this role for 2 months now, right?
Killing it, by the way.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. I
Mhm.
mean, having a career for 10 years, but then only doing this specific role for 2 months, you have to give yourself grace in that
Yes.
because you will beat yourself up constantly. There are some days I leave the studio and I have completely messed up, the show in my head, right? But then that's where the faith comes in it. And then I have to kind of give those feelings to God. And it's not spiritual bypassing,
Yeah.
but it's more like, God, I cannot do this alone, right? Like we are just vessels. That's something that I believe truly deeply to my soul is just that we are vessels. So I know that I cannot do it without him, without Christ Jesus who strengthens me. So I literally have to give those feelings of inferiority or confusion or feeling unworthy or whatever the case I am feeling for that day, I have to give it to God, right? And it's literally just laying my burdens at his feet. And
Ooh,
then yeah, and then
come
the
on, let's
next
go
day,
to church. Let's
right,
go.
right. And then the next day we start again and we start
Yeah.
again and we start again. And it doesn't matter how bad you have messed up, right? Because you're going to mess up. This is a new lane, this is a new job, this is new territory. You're going to mess up. But the thing is the mess up is it in your mind,
Mm-hmm.
right? Or is it actually like a real mess up? And usually it's just in
In
our
your head.
mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We are our own worst critics.
Right.
And it's so funny because when you are behind the camera and you're putting stuff together, even when you're the on-air talent and
Yeah.
you mess up, 9 times out of 10 the viewer doesn't even notice.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like
It's
to
so true.
them, you're just on TV, and
Yeah.
like it's already so cool that it doesn't even click that that could have been better,
Yeah.
right? But we are in our heads, and I think you segued that so perfectly for me because when I think about the other piece that has really stuck out to me and the connection that we've been forming, it is our talks about God. It is
Hmm.
our talks about faith, and I think that you and I have very organically approached the topic and said the same things in totally different ways. I was telling you the other day, you're far more versed in the Bible than I am. I remember some verses that I've learned. I get a daily Bible verse. Like I do actively, try to learn the word, but not to the capacity that I could. I've never sat down and read the Bible from front to back. I won't front about that. But I think when I hear you quote certain scripture, when I hear you describe certain things, and I'm like, yeah, because this is how I feel about it. And that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I love that dynamic. And it makes me wonder, because I know we were also talking about the different journeys that we've had with coming to God. What got you on the path where you were like, okay, I need to lock in, I need to talk to God and really let him be the head of my life?
Yeah. Well, and first, you are doing amazing in your walk. You know what I mean? And I think so oftentimes we could look at somebody else's walk and
Yes.
say, like, oh, wow, they are so much, they're more versed in this, or they're more versed in this, or their walk is more stronger than it is. It is almost like having a relationship with a human being, right? Like those relationships don't look the same, right? So you're doing amazing in your walk, and I really want to validate you in that, because I hear that so often, is that like, oh, I'm just a baby Christian, or I don't know the Bible that way, you know what I mean? But I think we get stuck in that sometimes, and we're just like, oh, this person knows so much. We are all on these different paths and different relationships with Jesus, and that's okay. And it's okay to be like, you know what, like I'm cool in this season, I'm cool. But to answer your question, I was not I considered myself I didn't consider myself a Christian, but I considered myself a believer of God. And this is before I came to Christ. I did not believe in Jesus as who he is, as I know him to be today. There was a point of time where I believe that Jesus Christ was an actual person, and that has been proven, right, historically, an actual person that walked and lived, but I didn't believe that he was the actual Son of God at one point of time. And now there was a situation, well, several situations, right? Because I think that Christ is always knocking at the door. He's always knocking at the door. It's just that if we choose to actually answer, you know what I mean? But I because I had this like complicated relationship with faith, and my faith in Jesus Christ specifically, it kind of prevented me from going deeper, right? I had kind of hardened my heart to his word and to his gospel and to the truth and the light. So there were multiple situations that happened, but one was moving to Kansas City, right? Going from New York City to Kansas City. A lot of people would not do that, right? Because they're so used to city life. And I had only lived in Chicago, New York, and of course, I have some family in Mississippi. I lived in Mississippi as well for a point of time. But when I moved to Kansas City, there was something that was completely supernatural that I would say that happened, because I was completely isolated from everyone, right? I was isolated from my family. I was isolated from my friends. And it was through this contract, right? Because, in television, we sign these 2-year contracts, and you can't leave. You can't just, it's not that simple. You can't just quit the job. You have to stick out your contract. So you're contractually obligated to be in a certain area for a certain period of time. And I didn't realize that that was all intended. That was all intentional. God was putting me in the middle of nowhere, right? But sometimes in the middle of nowhere, that's actually where you find yourself. That's where you find Jesus.
Isolation comes before the next chapter.
Absolutely, it does. And I think that the wilderness season, right? The Bible talks about wilderness a lot. Every single believer has to go through a wilderness season. And I know that Kansas City was my wilderness season. I didn't realize that though, right? So I was coming off of this heartbreak, right? My heart had to literally be broken open in order to receive his truth, in order to receive his light. And at the time, I was so hardened to accepting Christ, right? In New York, I was like, no, we talk about Nicolette. Yeah. Nicolette would always, like talk about the Bible with me. I would be like, girl, I gotta go. I'm
Can't
not
talk
trying to,
about God right now.
yeah,
I
I'm
got
not
stuff to
trying to
do.
hear that.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to hear that, but we need friends like that to continue to like plant those seeds, because that's what we are supposed to do as Christians, right? We are just, no one is responsible for anyone else's salvation but their own. But what we are supposed to do is be those seed planters. And that's exactly what the friends around me were doing. They were being seed planters, right? And so what I believe is that God, uses people to plant seeds, right? Because we're
Yeah,
all vessels, but
absolutely.
He does the work. He does the restoration. And when I was in Kansas City, that's when that restoring was happening in that wilderness season. And so my faith grew. It grew, it grew, it grew. That's when I started reading the Bible more. I had a curiosity to read the Bible. I never really had a curiosity to read the Bible
Mhm.
before. I used to think the Bible was boring. I used to think it was very pointless, but I
Mhm.
had the longing and the desire to read the Bible. And when you're reading the Bible, you have to read it not only with your physical eyes, but you also have to read it with your spiritual eyes as well. And so while you're reading the Bible, it is the Holy Spirit that directs you to like how you're supposed to think, right?
Yeah.
So that's the renewing and restoration process. And when I came out of that contract, I was a completely different person. So I hope that answered your question. But
I'm sure that
yeah.
when you came out of that contract and you were a completely different person, when you look back on the woman you were then, what's your favorite thing about her?
Looking back at the woman I was before the contract.
No, after. You said
Oh,
I came
after.
out and I'm a totally different person. So that new woman, because she had just gone through a season that you
Yeah.
just described, like
hmm
excellent. So when you were this new woman on the other side of that contract and it's time for something new, what's your favorite? Because I'm sure you've continued to elevate since then, but you're still not who you were then. You've grown from her.
Right.
But I don't want to ignore the fact that you were a new woman. You had just transitioned
hmm
into something. It sounds like you didn't even think you were going to make it to see.
Right.
So it's like, what's your favorite thing about the girl who had just came out of that chapter
Yeah.
brand new?
I would say just giving grace to myself. I think that I used to beat myself up a lot over a lot of different things that have happened to me, right? Like I used to take it on. And then when you find Christ Jesus, that's when you're able to literally give him your burdens. You're literally able to forgive people, right?
Mm,
Like I could not forgive people.
really?
I had a lot of like pent up resentment, and I thought I was forgiving people, but I was using other facets to do that. It was a very new age spirituality
Mm-hmm.
lens, and that's a manipulation of our mind. And when I started to read the Bible, I started to realize like, no, I could actually forgive people, because what they have done is not an indictment on myself. That is them, right? And it is easier to forgive people because when your spirit is renewed, when your faith is renewed, when you become a new person internally, you have a different lens,
Yeah.
right? You have to have a different lens. Your identity is now in Christ. So I look at people completely different now. I look at people like, okay, this person is not who what they've done to anyone, right? We are all works in progress. And I think it was just my outlook on people, on things, on myself.
What did that forgiveness process look like when you determined I got a new mindset now? I need to let go. I need to forgive. Was it something physical you did? Are we writing it out? Are we writing letters we never send?
Mhm.
Was it more of a continuation of the spiritual process? Okay, God, I release this to you. What did forgiving in activeness look like?
I think it's continuous too.
Mm.
I tweeted something today, and I said, we have to pick up our crosses daily. Like yesterday's
Yeah,
bread is not today's bread. So like the prayer you said yesterday, it's not, you still got to say a new prayer
every
today.
day.
You know what I mean? Like you have
Yeah.
to constantly guard your heart and your mind in Jesus. So it was constantly just like, if those thoughts come into my mind, constantly releasing them. And that's, we talked about surrendering,
Yes.
right? And it's learning to surrender and what
Yeah.
that surrender process looks like. But surrendering is forgiveness. And why is it forgiveness? Because you are not carrying these burdens, you're not carrying their burdens. So when you're surrendering, you're literally giving it away. So it's almost like carrying groceries,
Yeah.
right? Like I use this analogy a lot, but it's carrying groceries. And think about, you're carrying groceries and it's so hard, and you're like, oh my God,
Bag lady.
yeah, I just want to just get home so I can just put these groceries down. It is being able to put these groceries on Jesus at any point of time and wiping your hands off, dusting your sandals off, right? The word tells us dust our sandals off and walking away.
And letting him decide what's for dinner tonight, right? Like,
Yeah,
I don't know the next step,
yeah,
right? But
yeah,
here's the groceries, God. You tell me the next step.
yeah, exactly.
That's surrendering, and I think that goes over a lot of people's heads.
Yeah,
I love
absolutely.
this so much. So, okay, so now we've had our tower moment when it comes to coming to God and just figuring out next steps in life and spiritually who we want to be. The bubbly black girl, was she birthed from that? Did she come farther after it? Talk to me about your concept about bubbly black girls. And I think you are one. I know you are one. Like, you are a light, and I'm going to continue to tell you that. So
Yeah.
just talk to me about your journey into realizing all of me deserves to be seen, no matter the people that have tried to tell me, otherwise.
Yeah. Thank you for asking that question, because I do think that we are layered people. I think that there
Absolutely.
are so many different layers to us, and we are not just monolithic. We're not just one person. We're not just one layer of ourselves. It's almost like an onion. So,
Yes.
the flaky layer is what the
Mhm.
world sees, and it's really superficial, right? Because it's whatever we present it to be. And then the layer that is a little bit more substantial, that's what your close friends get to see, some family members, maybe your boyfriend, and then the layers under that, that's the person that you really know, and that's the person that really Christ Jesus knows too. And though that's the part of ourselves that I believe actually the world should see.
Hmm.
And that's what my TED talk was about,
Yeah.
right? So it wasn't just because I'm in this profession, I have to act a certain way. I have to present myself a certain way. I don't have to do that. I can be many things all at once. And I think that when, every single person is different, we all have different gifts, we all have different abilities, we all have different mindsets. And that's what makes literally all of it. I know that sounds cliche, but that makes us all unique and it makes us all individuals. And that is authenticity at its very core.
Mhm.
And so, if we are able to present ourselves in every single space, professional, or unperfect, whatever,
Mhm.
every single
Casual,
space,
whatever. Yeah.
yeah,
So
then I believe that the world would be more accepting, right? But because we are so like, oh, I don't want to let this mask slip. I don't want to, be this person who people talk about, or it keeps us bound.
Mhm.
It keeps us bound. And so when I realized, like, I don't have to be bound anymore. And to me, this was way before I even came to Jesus. I was like, I can show myself in every aspect of myself, and that
I
I
love
am
that.
still myself. I'm
Mm.
still a professional woman, right? I can still be bubbly.
Mhm.
I can still be serious. I can still be spiritual. I can still be everything that I was and am, all in once. And whoever doesn't accept that doesn't deserve to be in my close, intimate space. And that's just what it is. But when I really started to accept it, that's when my following grew.
Mm.
That's when people started to just be like, oh, you know what? I can be too.
Yeah.
I get so many messages on a daily basis of people saying, like, I am living more freely. I feel like I could do this, right? And so who we are testimonies, right? We don't have to argue who we are. You know who you are,
Mhm.
right? So it doesn't living authentically is enough. And I think a lot of people, they understand that in their logical minds, but they don't understand that in their spiritual minds. And so they don't really know how to live authentically. I'm sorry that word is.
No, you're good. You're good.
But a lot of people don't know how to live authentically. And so they mask and they put up this front, or they, put up with the world, what they want the world to see. But we are so multifaceted. And I think it's a disservice to God to just be one
Ooh,
person.
ooh, a disservice to God.
Hmm.
Gotcha. It's funny you said you don't think they know how, because it's like you're in my head. That's what I was going to ask you. Like, what do you say to people? Because you've talked about your spiritual journey, you've talked about overcoming just certain stigmas in the profession and realizing, no, it is to my benefit to be my full self, to be my authentic self. And you made a comment that I kind of want to challenge you on just a bit. You know who you are. You know who you are. I may know who I am, but I have found most people don't, because they have not taken the time to sit with themselves. They know what they aren't, because when
Yeah.
they're faced with certain things, they can feel that it makes them uncomfortable. They can feel they disagree with it, but they haven't taken that moment to sit in that room alone and realize, okay, I like this, I don't like that, I am this person, this is important to me, I need this from God, because that's a lot of work.
Oh,
And it's a
absolutely.
lot of work that makes you face a lot of things that have happened to you that feel dark and feel heavy. So for people, whether you've done the work or not, but when we tell them you need to live your authentic truth, how do you do that?
I mean, I'm always going to bring it back to God.
Come on.
I'm always going to bring it back to God. I think that, and this is just, Dorissa, me talking, but I think that when you're really rooted in Christ, in the identity that He's given you, right? That's when you could live your authentic truth. That's when you could live your truth. But a lot of people have the absence of God in them. So even though, like I was telling you the other night, people could read the word, people could know the Bible from front to back. They could read cover to cover, which I don't think a lot of people have. I have
Yeah,
not.
yeah.
But people could read it cover to cover and still not have God in them. Let me say that again. People could read it cover to cover, but
Hmm.
still not have
You're not
God in
retaining,
them.
you're not
Right. So
conceptualizing
exactly.
spiritually.
So even whether somebody is super religious and reading their word every single day, or if somebody is reading their word, it is still like, am I really rooted in truth? And that's where the disconnect happens. That's where people can't really be themselves, because they don't know who they are, right? Like they literally don't know who they are. So they put on these different masks of, okay, well, I can be in this space and I could be in this space, and this is no. If you are yourself in every single space, you're always going to be accepted, even if you're not accepted,
Yeah.
right? Because you are living in the truth that God has given you. God has given us all authentic personalities.
Like you said in your TED talk, our personality, our authenticity, it's what makes all of us human.
Right.
And I think that is something for people to hold on to. Don't run from that. Stick with it. Even if you haven't found your most authentic self, I do think most people are still closer to knowing their personalities. You know if you're
Yeah.
silly, if you're like, what gets you going. So at
Right.
least holding on to that as a stepping stone in your journey to live through your most authentic self.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
love this so much. I feel like we could sit here and talk all day. But I know we're going to have
Absolutely.
to wrap soon. So a
Yeah.
few things that I want to get into before we do that. When we talk about themes of isolation and you're sitting by yourself and just kind of going through transformation, I'm sure you had to sacrifice a lot, right?
Mm,
Like, and we
mm.
talked off camera just about family dynamics,
Yeah.
being the one to be the superstar. But that also comes with missing birthdays, missing
Yeah.
graduations, missing. Have you found that the sacrifices are worth it? What's made it easier for you to cope with the things that you've missed?
Yeah.
Just kind of talk to me about that experience in your life. And
Mm.
even if we have time, throw in it, how does it affect dating? Because you're
Yeah.
hot, girl. You look good. So
Thank
I
you.
say they coming to dime a dozen. So talk to
I
me
feel
about
like I'm
that.
not as cute as
Baby, you
I
look
could
good
be today, but
no matter what.
thank you. I'm still struggling with that, Cindy. I'm
Fair.
still struggling with, is it worth it?
Ooh.
Is it worth it? For 8 years, because I was in New York for 8 years, I was away from my family. I missed graduations. I missed birthdays. My little cousins are so important to me. They
Me
are
too.
like, I love them. I love looking at the
They're my
women that they.
babies.
Yes,
Yeah.
I love looking at the women that they're growing into be and the women that they're becoming. Like every time they post on social media, I'm just like, oh my God, they're just so gorgeous, and I'm just so proud of them, because you see them growing up. But I've missed a lot of their lives. And, coming back, we're rebuilding. I'm rebuilding with my family. I'm rebuilding with my dad. I'm rebuilding with all of the people around me. But I'm like, was it worth it? And I think that that's just something that I have to constantly like tell myself yes, because, eventually I am going to become the woman that I see myself to become.
Yeah.
But you do lose those relationships, and when you come back to those relationships, they are new people, just like you're a new person, right? There's a quote that I'm thinking of, Thomas, something Thomas, I can't remember his name, but it says, you can never come home again, right?
Mm.
And a lot of people think that you can no longer come home to the place, the actual physical location, but it's not that. It is just that there's so much change that has happened, right? You can never return home again, and that's it. It means that these people are no longer the same people when you left, right?
So now you have to
Everything,
challenge yourself to get to know them.
yeah,
Make
everything is
space, rather.
different. Yes.
Yeah.
So it's something that I'm still like, was it worth it? But also it's new relationships that I'm forming with them, right? In this season of their life, just because I'm a different person too. So I'm grateful. I'm grateful, but it does hurt, especially when they're like you're at a family gathering and they're talking about something that happened 5 years ago and you weren't even there for that. And it does. It's like, dang,
Yeah.
but at the same time, you have to take care of your career, and you are only responsible for your career, and you have to do what's best for you at the end of the day. And it's a choice that everyone has to make.
Yeah, I'm a little stumped because I think I'm going through it right now, right? Just making the choices. Where can I show up? What do I have to miss because I have to do a shoot or I have to do this? I make the joke all the time, like, I'm trying to get us out the hood, y'all. Like, so I need y'all to understand, right? But like, also they like, we just want you, But I'm like, y'all don't even tell me when stuff is going on. But that's probably because of precedent I set too, right?
Yeah.
So I have to take some accountability in that. But I think that's very real and very vulnerable, and I appreciate you sharing it. And I won't push too hard on dating because I know we got to wrap up out of here. But you skated right past that.
I sure did. I was like, anyway.
The girls want to know how we balance it. How do you do it? But I think what's more important than anything is as I just really think about how I want us to bring this home. That's also a space where you have to get to know people, right? But you are a person worth protecting, but you're also a brand worth protecting.
Right.
Does that really cross your mind? Like, do you have like a vetting process for guys? Like, how do you navigate that, and why is it important to be intentional? I think that's the better question.
Yeah.
Because I think so many people think like, oh, I'm hot, I'm young, I'm whatever. Guys come and they got money, they got this.
Yeah.
But why? What is your why to protect yourself when it comes to dating?
Yeah, I'm smiling because Nicolette is behind the camera and we talk about this all the time. She tells me that I am very picky, and
You should be.
I am very picky, and the reason why I am very picky is because I know who I'm going to become. I know it is already laid out in front of me. It is a path that God has me on. And if you are on this path with me, then you got to be on point too.
Period.
You have to be on point as well. And I'm not just going to date anyone. I'm going to date somebody who is intentional about themselves, about their growth process, about the man that they're becoming. And sometimes I think that, like I said, it's really amazing to have good friends around you and really Christ-led friends, because sometimes Nicolette will be like, all right, friend, you listen, you can't just hone on to every single flaw somebody has. And she's walking it out with me, and she's like, listen, girl, this is what I think you need to take to God. And this is something that is actually legitimate, where I'm like, maybe you shouldn't, pursue a relationship with this person. But honestly, we're all dating until we're married, right? So, because the Bible don't acknowledge boyfriends at all.
A word. Okay, come on, girl. All right. I'm gonna shoot a few off so we can. This is how we'll end this. Give me one word or one sentence, because one of the things I may ask you might need a couple words to these next few questions. You ready? Okay. Something you pray for the most, or the thing you pray for the most.
Peace. Peace.
Daily?
Every single day.
Love it. I love it.
Peace of mind, peace of everything, just peace.
Yeah, same. Something people wouldn't know about you from looking at you.
Goofy. I'm goofy.
You're bubbly.
I'm bubbly.
Is
that the same? Okay.
It could be argued. We don't have time to argue about it.
Okay.
Okay, Goofy. I'll give you that. All right. Lights off, cameras off. You're at home on the couch. What's on the TV? Or is it a TV?
It's no TV. Well, sometimes, I don't know, Real Housewives of Atlanta, or nothing at all. Sometimes I just like to be in my mind.
No phone, no music, no nothing when the cameras are off?
I'll have my phone, but some days I think it's okay just to like have nothing. Just be with yourself.
That's silence.
Just silence.
Tell me, people are scared of it though.
Yeah. They are. I was scared of it.
Ooh. But we overcame, huh?
We overcame. we're trying to overcome.
Will you toast with me to that?
Absolutely.
Dorissa White, thank you so much.
Thank you.
I really appreciated this. I love this. I love you now. You just gonna have to accept it. I love you, and I really appreciate you. I appreciate your light, your authenticity, and I think that I'm excited to see where you go.
Thank you, and I'm
And I'll be
excited
honored
to see it.
watch.
I feel the same about you.
Let's do it, girl.
Yes,
to the
thank you.
top.
Yes, to the
Cheers
top.
to that. Producers Cut, everyone. Thank you for watching. Be sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Over here, it gets real on Producers Cut. So tell a friend to tell a friend.